Today I am reading from the book Spirit of Homeopathy, book written by Dr. Rajan Sankaran, and the Mind section, chapter number 26, episode 3, Compensation. The difference between true and compensated symptom. How do we differentiate between true symptoms and the compensated symptoms? For example, an orum anacardium patients, how do you differentiate cruelty which is compensated from the sympathy? Here are the few indication. In situation of crisis, we will often see the symptom in the uncompensated form. He does not attempt to hide or cover up his true feeling. In childhood, you will find an uncompensated picture. Children are frank because they are innocent. Behavior of the patient in the house with the nearest relatives. And uncompensated behavior is involuntary behavior. Compensated behavior is an act of will. Exaggerated compensation may look like a involuntary. Uncompensated behavior will be found in acceptable situations such as narrating the symptom, social cause when he suffer from sense of injustice. For example, cruelty and violence are most often found in the compensated form, but they can become uncompensated in two ways. When under extreme stress, he says, it hurts so much that I couldn't take a knife and cut it off. Or the politicians are so corrupt, they should be executed. This is the coming from a person who is a very kind type of nature. If you find a patient to be too compensated, ask what the things are that do not affect. What the things are which do not affect him. That is the resist. That he resists, and even his total evidence shows compensation. The need for a man to willful do or not do certain things in compensation. The healthy uncompensated man has no need to do things against his will. The compensated man's defense are weak and many things affect him easily. People join organizations, groups, religious practice, etc. to give themselves a channel to his give themselves a channel for his compensated for the opposite tendency. Sorry. Give his minds to channel the compensated form for the opposite tendency. So they choose to join the yoga, religious group and organization. And now under label difference between the compensation and expression. An expression goes in the direction of the symptom and is merely a form of it, a direct form of it, but a compensation is exactly the opposite in order to cover up the symptom. For example, if a person has a fear of being alone, one expression will be desire for company and another will be clinging. A third expression will that he is always found in the group. So the desire for company is not a compensator for fear of being alone, but rather an expression of it. The compensated form of being for compensation for of being alone would be when the person tries to remain alone all the time, telling himself that there is nothing to fear here, and try to prove himself that he is not remain he cannot that he can remain alone. Sorry, so he can remain alone. He do against her will. He strongly shows defense. A child of the colleague was behaving in a very old manner for quite some time. He was violent and created a lot of trouble for his parents. When I showed the child, I found that all this had begun when he was in a swimming pool, and some creature, maybe small lizard, came up behind him, and somehow it goes into his mind that it was a crocodile. Incidentally, a little later, he saw a movie where a woman was being eaten by the crocodile. And from that time, this child wanted to know everything about the crocodile. He read books on crocodile, wanted to know how many teeth they have, how long their tongues are, what they eat, how they live, and where they live, and so forth. He is probably a world authority or on crocodile. he probably a world authority on crocodiles. So, this kind of assassination is sign of compensation for the treatment, for the tremendous fear. Some people who go to the mountain climbing and trekking across the unknown land are lying to prove. Sorry, so what's that? Yeah, sorry, I'm reading the this kind of fascination is a sign of a compensation for the tremendous fear. Some people who go to the mountain climbing and trekking across unknown lands and trying to prove a point to themselves that they are not scared of danger, and they are not scared of being alone, they are not scared of being unknown or the of a dark. There are others who always want to peace and are always talking about the need to meditate, the need to calm, the need to be unexcited, the need to be not bothered about trouble and not scared or angry. Much of this relaxation response has to do with the excited remedies, of which stramonium is the important. Stramonium is the most important. People talk of non-attachment because they have to let go of things. They must not keep holding on. We should not allow ourselves to cling on. We have to let go. Stand on our own. These people are compensating. This is the compensation. So look at the word that are used and look at the words that are used, and when they are used with a lot of will, I must, I should, whatever they are saying, the opposite is that true quality. People who says happiness is within, and I have find it within me in my own aloneness, otherwise I will not able to not be stable. So I seek always happiness within, and I should not depend on others. This is my aim by go, and this is my goal, may really be feeling of the opposite. Now the under label difference between the acute and chronic remedy and the compensation. Acute and chronic remedy are term only arbitrarily given, but normally chronic remedies are considered to be one coming from the chronic situation. So an acute remedy represents survival in an extreme situation. A chronic remedy has a within inner range component to tackle a minor crisis too. But if the crisis become a major one, it needs an acute remedy to complement it. For example, Barata carp has anxiety about the trifles, etc. But when the situation becomes too acute and there is an immediate threat of death, the Barata carp state with the irresolutions and dependent cannot be taken this. Dependence cannot be taken this. He has to become a very restless, panicky, and disturbed. This is not in a Barata carp, and so it become a arsenic alb. Therefore, we find the arsenic alb and Barata carp are complementary. Sulfur and aconite are also the complementary, etc. When you see a aconite or arsenic alb state, you have to examine whether the patient after the passage of acute crisis require chronic remedy. For example, woman during a cough gets an acute fear of suffocation which occurs at night. When you take the rubric fear of suffocation at night, you get arsenic alb. And when you examine her, she is a Britacar patient. When you are arsenic alb in the acute, you have to ask what is the chronic. What we should not forget is that chronic may be the same remedy and the whole case may be curable by just that acute remedy, which in acute crisis present in a uncompensated form, and when there is no crisis, present in a compensated form. In a patient needing chronic remedy, many symptoms will be found in uncompensated form because utility of this component is found in everyday life situation. The insecurity of calcia carb, the business mind of the Barata carb are useful even approved by the society and are survival oriented. They can remain for a long time in an uncompensated form, and even with a minor crisis, the compensated can become uncompensated. As in the anticipatory anxiety of lycopodium, as in the anticipatory anxiety in the lipodium. When he is faced with a new challenging situation, it will come up in an uncompensated form. Such small challenges are quite common in the lives of the people. So in patient needing chronic remedy, you may find uncompensated symptom quite often. The difficulty is in the so-called acute remedies, because they come from extreme states which is not found in everyday life. The component have to be compensated for, and especially in the adult. The abusive and unsocial behavior of the chamomilla comes from the situation of extreme neglect. Such a situation is rare. Hence, a person in a chronic chamomilla state has to heavily compensate or at least show it in an approved way. For example, striking with a pain, or when his foot strike the stone, he will abuse the stone. But such occasions will be few and often pass unnoticed in everyday life. A symptom like cruelty will be heavily compensated for. The lack of confidence will also be heavily compensated for. On the contrary, a person will speak with a tremendous confidence and the bravado. Nothing is beyond me. I have no fear, etc. A case where this was clearly expressed was of a radio personality who would come and behave in a very self-confident manner, so much so that I give him lycopodium and sulfur. Nothing happened until one day he developed a cough and patch in the lungs, and the doctor advised bronchoscopy. He phoned at least 12 times that day to find out what a bronchoscopy is and whether he would be able to tolerate it or not. He almost collapsed that day. Because this, I could see the uncompensated picture, and I gave him the gelsemium, with which he improved a lot. There is a symptom, fear falling off. Child holds on to mother. Child means a person who seeks protection from someone stronger, who feels incapable of protecting himself, of falling, or when you put down means when he is going on a downward path, where there is a danger of falling off, a danger of something happening, like ailment from anticipations. There is a fear of downward motion and high place. Then he holds on to the nurse, who is the protector. This means when a person is faced with a risky situation in which there is danger of losing balance, falling off, of something going wrong, and bad happening, he will hold on someone who is protecting. This is the gelsemium. So I could see his bravado, his tremendous overconfidence, and his big talk was compensated for the tremendous cowardice. You will find in the acute remedies, for example, tarantula, that is the industrious one and restless one, will not be compensated for, but will be put into the proper channel. Example, expression, this uncompensated component along with the symptom that are heavily compensated to go together will make the picture of the acute remedy. That show us that every feature of the patient's which is individual has to become has to be accounted for, otherwise we will lose the remedy. We have also to look at the situation of stress more often than the situation of nearly normalcy, especially in the acute remedies. You will find the uncompensated features in the form accepted. For example, people taking great interest in the boxing or racing car or the horses. The other sign are we have seen in the uncompensated are hobbies and interests of the person, and also the way they really relate their complaint. Doctor, this pain is killing me. This can be uncompensated form of delusion of being killed. The foolish laugh of Harrismus will give him away always. Doctor, I want to your clinic and found it closed. Ha 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 ha. And the person laugh where there is nothing to laugh, not laugh at all. Or we see the clenched fist of violence. So the gesture also show uncompensated features. Also, there is a history in the childhood, because in childhood we get the acute remedy in uncompensated form. In the childhood history, all the moment of the stress that the patient has undergone and how he reacted all this time will show the uncompensated symptom. This gives you the acute remedy in its uncompensated form, and that is why Hahnemann write in aphorism 5 that you have to take the most significant point in the whole history of the chronic cases and how he react to them, because at this time this uncompensated features comes out. Lastly, the uncompensated form come out based on the dreams, which is the subject of one of the next chapter.